There is a truth very few people will ever tell you. The people who get taken advantage of the most are often the kindest people. They're always helping, always accommodating, always showing up when someone needs them. And over time, they begin to believe that kindness will be repaid with kindness. But life doesn't work that way. Many people become accustomed to receiving. Some begin to see your sacrifices as normal, and others only remember you when they need something. The sad part is that most kind people don't realize this right away. They simply feel more exhausted as time goes on, more disappointed, more drained, as if they're giving far more than they're getting back. Marcus Aurelius once reminded us that anything out of balance eventually becomes a burden, even kindness. Stoicism doesn't teach us to become cold, and it certainly doesn't teach selfishness. It teaches us something far more valuable: boundaries, knowing when to help, knowing when to say no, knowing how to protect your time, your energy, and your peace of mind. In this video, you'll discover 8 consequences that overly kind people often suffer without realizing it. More importantly, you'll learn how to remain a good person without allowing others to take advantage of your generosity. Because helping others is a virtue, but losing yourself in the process is a mistake. And that mistake is quietly destroying more lives than most people realize. Let's begin with the first warning sign. A habit that keeps countless people trapped in disappointment without ever understanding the real reason why. You expect people to treat you the way you treat them. One of the biggest traps kind people fall into is this: they expect others to give what they give. You show up when people need help. You listen when they're struggling. You make time when nobody else does. And deep down, you believe that one day they'll do the same for you. Then life teaches a hard lesson. Most people won't. Not because they're evil, not because they hate you, but because they're not you, and that's where disappointment begins. The more you expect others to live by your standards, the more frustrated you'll become. Many kind people spend years feeling betrayed, but the truth is, they weren't betrayed. They were attached to an expectation. The Stoics understood something powerful. You control your actions. You do not control gratitude. You do not control loyalty. You do not control how others respond. The moment your happiness depends on someone else's behavior, you've given away your freedom. That's why generosity becomes dangerous when it comes with hidden expectations. You help, you wait, you hope, and eventually, resentment grows. A Stoic helps because it's the right thing to do, not because they're secretly expecting a return, not because they're keeping, not because they're building emotional debt. The lesson is simple. Give when you choose to give. Help when you genuinely want to help. But never place your peace in someone else's hands. Because expectations create disappointment, acceptance creates freedom. And freedom is worth far more than gratitude you'll probably never receive. You teach people to depend on you. At first, you're just trying to help. Someone has a problem. You step in. Someone needs support. You say, yes. Someone makes a mistake. You clean it up. It feels harmless, even noble. But over time, something changes. People stop appreciating your help. They start expecting it. They call you first whenever life gets difficult. They bring you every problem, every responsibility, every emergency, and before you realize it, you've become responsible for burdens that were never yours to carry. This is where many kind people get trapped. They mistake rescuing others for helping others. But those are not the same thing. The Stoics believed every person must carry responsibility for their own life. Growth comes from struggle. Wisdom comes from consequences. Strength comes from solving your own problems. When you constantly save people from the results of their actions, you may actually be making them weaker. You remove the lesson. You remove the accountability. You remove the opportunity for growth. And while their life becomes easier, yours becomes heavier. Real help does not create dependence. Real help creates strength. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is step back. Allow people to learn. Allow people to struggle. Allow people to become stronger. The lesson is this: helping someone is not the same as carrying them. And if you spend your life carrying everyone else, eventually you'll have no strength left to carry yourself. Your own life gets pushed to the bottom. There are people who are busy every day, yet somehow their own lives never move forward. They're helping family, helping friends, helping co-workers, solving problems, putting out fires, taking care of everyone, except themselves. Years pass this way, and one day they look around and realize something painful. Their goals are still unfinished. Their dreams are still waiting. Their plans are still sitting on the shelf, not because they lacked talent, not because they lacked opportunity, but because they never made themselves a priority. Many people wear self-sacrifice like a badge of honor, but the Stoics saw things differently. You cannot pour from an empty cup. You cannot give peace when you have none. You cannot build other people's lives while neglecting your own. Your first responsibility is not the entire world. Your first responsibility is yourself, not out of selfishness, out of wisdom. Because the stronger you become, the more value you can bring to others. The healthier you become, the more you can help. The calmer you become, the more stability you create around you. But none of that happens if your own life is falling apart. The lesson is simple. Stop putting yourself last. Take care of your goals. Protect your time. Invest in your future. Because if you don't build your own life, nobody else is going to build it for you. People start seeing you as weak. Here's one of life's strange contradictions. The harder you try to please everyone, the less respect you often receive. Many people believe that saying yes makes them likable, so they agree. They volunteer. They sacrifice. They avoid conflict. They keep everyone happy. At least, that's what they think. But over time, people notice something. You never push back. You never refuse. You never set limits. And eventually, they stop seeing your kindness as generosity. They start seeing it as availability. They assume you'll always say yes. They assume you'll always make room. They assume you'll always carry the extra weight. Not because they're cruel, because you've trained them to expect it. The Stoics never confused kindness with submission. A strong person can be compassionate and still have boundaries. They can be generous and still protect their time. They can help others without becoming controlled by them. Respect grows when people know where your limits are. Without limits, people stop appreciating your effort. They simply expect it. That's why one honest no can earn more respect than 100 reluctant yeses. The lesson is simple. If you want people to value your time, you must value it first. If you want people to respect your boundaries, you must create them, because people will often treat you exactly the way you allow them to. You attract people who only need something from you. Have you ever noticed that some people only appear when they need help, when they have a problem, when they need advice, when they need support? when they need money, when they need someone to save them, and the moment their problem disappears, so do they. No calls, no message, no interest. At first, you call it friendship. Later, you realize it was convenience. This is one of the hidden dangers of being overly generous. You become a magnet for people who like receiving, not necessarily people who know how to give. The truth is simple. Some people are attracted to kindness. Others are attracted to access. And if you're not careful, you'll confuse the two. The Stoics taught that character is revealed through action, not promises, not compliments, not words. Action. Who shows up when you're struggling? Who checks on you when you have nothing to offer? Who remains when there's no advantage to staying? Those are the people who matter. Everyone else is simply passing through. The lesson is this: stop asking who needs you. Start asking who values you. Because healthy relationships are built on mutual respect, not one-sided sacrifice. You attract people who only know how to take. The more you give without limits, the more likely you are to attract people who have none. Some people don't enter your life looking for connection. They enter looking for opportunity. They notice your generosity, your patience, your willingness to help, and they see a resource, not a relationship. These people rarely ask how you're doing, rarely offer support, rarely give back. The relationship always flows in one direction, toward them. At first, it's difficult to notice, because takers often appear charming, friendly, appreciative. They know exactly what to say. But over time, patterns reveal everything. The conversations revolve around their needs. The attention revolves around their problems. The friendship revolves around their convenience. The Stoics were careful observers of human nature. They understood that trust should be earned slowly, not given automatically. Watch how people behave when they no longer need something from you. Watch how they act when there's nothing to gain. That's where character becomes visible. The lesson is simple. Not everyone who enters your life deserves unlimited access to it. Some people deserve kindness. A few deserve trust. And only a very small number deserve both. Learning the difference can save you years of frustration, disappointment, and wasted energy. You start destroying yourself without realizing it. Burnout rarely arrives all at once. It arrives quietly. One small compromise at a time. One extra responsibility. One more favor. One more problem that isn't yours, but somehow becomes yours anyway. At first, you tell yourself you're fine. You're just tired, just stressed, just busy. But slowly, something begins to change. You lose energy. You lose motivation. You lose interest in things that once made you happy. Then the escape habits begin. More scrolling, more drinking, more overeating, more distractions, more ways to avoid sitting alone with your thoughts. Most people don't realize what's happening. They think they're relaxing. In reality, they're recovering from a life that has become emotionally exhausting. The Stoics believed that every collapse begins long before it becomes visible. No one wakes up one morning completely burned out. Burnout is built through hundreds of ignored warnings. Ignored fatigue, ignored frustration, ignored resentment, ignored stress. Eventually, the body starts demanding the rest the mind refused to take. That's why self-awareness matters. Pay attention to the signals: irritability, exhaustion, loss of focus, loss of joy. These are not weaknesses, they're warnings. The lesson is simple. Take care of yourself before life forces you to. Rest before you're broken. Recover before you're exhausted. Because a person who is drowning cannot save anyone else, and a person who is empty has nothing left to give. People become suspicious of your kindness. This may be the saddest consequence of all. You help people because you genuinely care, but instead of gratitude, you sometimes receive suspicion. People wonder what you want. They question your motives. They look for hidden agendas. At first, it feels unfair. After all, you're only trying to help. But look around. Most people have spent years dealing with manipulation, false promises, hidden motives, relationships built on transactions. Because of that, genuine kindness has become rare. And when something is rare, people don't always trust it. Sometimes they question it. Sometimes they fear it. Sometimes they misunderstand it completely. The Stoics never allowed the opinions of others to determine their character. They did what was right because it was right, not because it earned praise, not because it improved their image, not because it guaranteed approval. True kindness doesn't need applause. It doesn't need recognition. It doesn't need validation. It exists because it reflects who you are. That doesn't mean you should keep giving without limits. It means your values should not depend on how others interpret them. Some people will appreciate your kindness. Some won't. Some will misunderstand it entirely. None of that changes what is right. The lesson is this: be kind because it aligns with your principles, not because you want to be liked, not because you want to be admired, and not because you expect everyone to understand you. The moment your character becomes stronger than public opinion, you become truly free. Conclusion. If there's one lesson to remember from this video, let it be this: kindness is not the problem. The lack of boundaries is. Many people spend their entire lives trying to be good. They help everyone. They sacrifice for everyone. They put themselves last. And then they wonder why they're exhausted, why they're disappointed, why they feel alone despite always being there for others. The answer is simple. You were never meant to carry everyone else's burdens. You are not responsible for fixing every problem. You are not obligated to save every person who is struggling. The Stoics understood something most people forget. Every person must carry their own share of responsibility. You can help. You can support. You can give. But you cannot lose yourself in the process. A tree can only provide shade if it remains healthy. A lamp can only give light if it still has a flame. And a person can only give their best to others when they have not abandoned themselves. So starting today, set stronger boundaries. Learn to say no without guilt. Protect your time without apology. Protect your energy without explanation. Help others from a place of wisdom, not self-sacrifice. Because sometimes the greatest act of kindness is knowing when to stop giving. Not out of selfishness, but out of self-respect. Remember, you do not need to destroy yourself to prove that you are a good person. If this message resonated with you, leave a comment below. I choose boundaries. And tell us one thing you'll stop doing after today. Will it be people-pleasing, over-giving, or putting your own life last? Let us know in the comments. And if you want more practical Stoic wisdom to help you live with greater strength, clarity, and peace, subscribe and join us on the journey. Because a better life doesn't begin when other people change. It begins when you do.